and Mike will present.
Mr. Chair, members, House Bill 2792 modifies requirements for municipal incorporation and incorporation of urbanized areas. Specifically, the bill requires the County Board of Supervisors to authorize circulation of initiative petitions within 30 days of filing with the county recorder or election department, and allows petitioners for incorporation of a community to circulate petitions for 180 days after Board of Supervisors approval, rather than 180 days after filing the petition with the county recorder or elections department. Additionally, the bill continues through January 1st, 2027, statutory requirements relating to the reduction of territory in an urbanized area, incorporation of urbanized areas that meet certain requirements without approval by bordering cities or towns, and requirements relating to planned community association declarants in certain urbanized areas petitioning for incorporation. The bill also outlines requirements for notification of HOAs in certain urbanized areas seeking incorporation, outlines requirements for public notice of incorporation petitions, and allows members of the public to request modifications to the boundaries of a community requesting incorporation. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Members, any questions for Mike? Okay.
Sponsor's not
We
here.
have the sponsor on his way, and so we will give him a minute when he gets here, but
Okay.
let's go ahead with the testimony in the meantime.
Yes, Mr. Chair, requesting to speak is Stephen Scharboneau. What? Right. Please, sorry, sir. Sorry to butcher your name. Please. State your name for the record.
My name is Stephen Scharboneau, and I'm here on behalf of myself. Thank you very much, Chairman and Committee, for having me. I was a part of a grassroots effort in the New River Desert Hills area, just north of Phoenix, to incorporate into a municipality, and currently unincorporated. That effort has since died and has been arisen by Mr. Thompson here, who will also testify. And we noticed some things about this bill that were problematic and that we wanted to bring to the attention of the committee from our perspective of individuals who have gone through this and started this grassroots effort to sort of try to move something like this forward. The first thing I'd like to point out is the level of difficulty it is to get something like this through. Generally speaking, you're not going to have a lot of money behind it. It's going to be a grassroots organization. You have people of a community that get together and have a common want or need and decide that they're going to do this. It's an incredibly difficult process and requires now an urbanized area requires the approval from a city or municipality, it could be a town, from within I think 6 miles, in some instances 3.5 miles. In doing that, there's a time thing that you have to kind of get just right as far as when the election's coming, because if you have your election on an off time, then you have to pay for it. What this does is the bill has provisions that we disagree with that essentially require you to do a bunch of different things before you're able to even start collecting signatures. And that's really where my point of contention is. One is that we'd have to adopt a resolution from the city before you even start collecting signatures. You'd also have to submit the affidavit before you request signatures, and then you'd also have to go above and beyond and report notice before the signatures. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Fine. Good.
Thank you. Senator Leach.
So, and I'm sorry, I didn't write down your name. I was trying.
Stephen.
Stephen, I was trying to get a hold of the sponsor, and the sponsor's on her way over. So I will ask.
He's here.
He's
He is
here.
here now. I just walked in.
He just walked in the door. So, have you worked? Oh, there he is. Have you worked with a sponsor on this bill and voiced the concerns? Because this bill obviously came over from the House. Have you worked with a sponsor with your thoughts on this bill?
Chairman and Senator Leach, I have not. This is something that just came to my attention recently. I have done work here at the Capitol, but on a different front. I do a lot of criminal justice work and things like that. So this is something that has just come to my attention. David and I, who you'll hear from in a little bit, have gotten together with some ideas. I signed in as opposed because of, I think I am opposed as written. However, I think this is an old law that does need some cleanup, and I think the first part of the bill does that very well. And I would love the opportunity to sit down with Representative Shope and go over some of the ideas that we have.
So I will, Mr. Chairman, I will ask So you're willing to sit down, you're not no, 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 you're no now just because there's parts of it that you think could be done that would help your situation. So you're open to discussion. I'm not going to speak for the sponsor. It's his bill, but I'm just breaching that right here in this committee. So if we get it on record, you're willing to work towards something that works out.
Mr. Chair, Senator Leach, absolutely. I'm here to offer perspective.
Because, Mr. Chairman, I was somewhat confused for a while because you talked about the difficulties with municipalities and towns and the 6 mile and the 3.5 mile, which is problematic. And I think you agreed to that, right?
Yes, I think we went over some of the testimony the last time this bill was amended, and a lot of the testimony from members here in the Senate and over at the House revolved around the idea that we do want to support the process of communities becoming incorporated and being independent on their own rather than being taken care of by the county if they want to do that and they have the means to do that. So that seems like something we want to support. I think there are provisions that are counterintuitive to that overall legislative intent, and that's really the policy where we're coming from.
So one last question, Mr. Chairman. So, Steve, if this were to be changed, would you move forward with your incorporation process?
Yes, we're going. There's individuals in the New River Desert Hills area that are moving forward with the incorporation process. I have since not been as involved as I was before. It took a lot out of me the first time around. If you have questions about the current process, David Thompson is here, and he's taking that daunting task on, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer your questions about that.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for being here. Any other questions? And I congratulate you for your involvement in being here. This is a very important part of the process of people being here to express. Generally, we can have better bills if people raise their concerns. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chairman.